Mark. How are you?
Morning.
You're in over there, David. Can I just ask you first about a story that's, well, it's rock football, the number of people that have come out in the case of abuse of young players years and years gone by. What do you make of that? You've been in the game an awful long time. Has it shocked you?
Yeah, I think I think that's true in terms of obviously the impact on guys that have come forward who I think have been extremely brave to face something that they probably tried to forget about when it happened, but for them to come out and allow everybody to have a better understanding of maybe what was going on. I'd like to think that this day and age, with all the checks and balances in terms of police checks on all coaches at youth team levels, certainly in the professional game, I think it must be harder for these individuals to obviously satisfy their own selfish needs. Maybe not in this day and age. It's more difficult for them to do it rather than maybe in the past when it was slightly easier, it seems. So like I said, I think the guys that have been able to come out and be strong and be brave and tell people in the wider domain about what's happened to them, I think they need to be really congratulated and supported now.
Thanks for doing that. Another general one, but a slightly happier sentence. Stephen Gerrard has announced his retirement. What do you make of him and the servant he's been to the game and the quality of his hand?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's just look at his CV. I think someone on the radio this morning was going through what he's achieved, and I don't think it was just the actual trophies on his sideboard that people will remember. I think it's those moments in games when it seemed that all was lost for Liverpool in certain games, and all of a sudden Stephen Gerrard popped up and changed the complexion of games and pushed it more towards Liverpool's advantage, and he did that time and time again throughout his career, and I think that's why he's revered, certainly in the red half of Liverpool, as much as he is, and rightly so, because of the impact that he had on key moments in games that changed the course of games. And very few players had the ability to grab a game by the scruff of its neck and change the outcome, and Stephen Gerrard certainly was one of those players.
Good man, thank you. Let's talk about Stoke, shall we?
Yeah.
Joe Allen is on this 40-man shortlist for UEFA Team of the Year, and he's suspended for the weekend as well. They're both there, aren't they? You realise just what a great player he is, and unfortunately you've not got him this weekend.
Yeah, and we're going to miss him because he's had a huge impact for us, and not unlike his impact in the world of football, to be perfectly honest. An outstanding European Championships, and clearly that's highlighted his ability as a player, but the top and bottom of it, he's basically carried on where he left off in the summer, and it's been absolutely outstanding for us, really given us a drive and an impetus within the team that at times we haven't had, and along with that impetus that he's given us, he's given us goals along the way as well. So it's been a good match, and I think Joe understood that he needed to leave Liverpool because he wanted to play regular football, because that's what his talent deserved, and he's been able to come here and prosper and really enjoy working with the group that he has around him, and play week in, week out, which was the key to us being able to get him to the club. And I don't think anybody who's seen him play here in a striped shirt would say that they haven't been impressed by him, because his levels in terms of his work rates, which everybody knows about, but his technical ability and clearly his goal scoring is raising profile somewhat. But I think everybody's really been delighted with what they've seen from Joe.
Updates on the injuries, because they're significant, I think, this weekend, aren't they?
Yeah, we've got a couple of doubts. Glenn Whelan, hopefully will be okay. He's had an extra week, but had a slight problem with his calf. I think the hamstring that he wasn't able to play with last weekend. That's basically resolved itself, but he's got a slight issue with his calf, so we hope that's not going to stop him being involved. We're going to. Yeah, Jeff is still unavailable, unfortunately. Yeah, it's a slow process, and we're finding it difficult to really progress the injury as quickly as we'd like. But it's just the nature of the injury itself isn't allowing that at the moment, and I think we just got to be a little bit patient. And I include Jeff in that. Clearly, he wants to be part of the team again, and he was a big part of a turnaround in form when he came back into the team. So clearly he wants to get back in and start playing again, but maybe he needs to be a little bit more patient and let nature take its course at the moment. But it's a little bit frustrating for everybody, I have to say, that one.
Anybody else? I mean, Phil Bardsley and his knee.
Phil's going to be struggling for a number of weeks. He's got a little bit of damage to the ligament, and just opened his knee up, and it's going to be a little bit longer for Phil, unfortunately, which is a shame for him, because he'd come into the team and was playing well. But thankfully, it's coincided. If there's any good thing about it, is that Glenn Johnson's now ready to come back in, and he's fit and well. So we hope to keep him nice and sound for the next few weeks at least.
What are your thoughts on that defensive midfield role then, if Whelan's definitely out? I think Cherny and Buehler's been talking to the local paper this week and said that he's been angry with himself, actually. Thinks he let himself down with his application, his performances. What do you think? What do you make of that?
Well, we have got options. It's not ideal. We're a little bit skinny at the moment, in fairness, in terms of numbers, but we've got different options. The guys that are fitting well, there's any number of different combinations I can go with. So that's obviously, we were two days away from the game, and we'll investigate those in the coming days, and I'll make a decision leading into the game. But G has been a little bit frustrated. I think he was honest enough to say that given the amount of ability that he has, he wasn't able to impact the games like we felt he needed to. So he needed to go out to the team just to understand where he was in terms of what he was producing. But had a really good response in training. He's fit well. His focus is very much on getting back into the team. So it could be that this weekend he does become a real viable option for us, given the circumstances. It's been difficult for him to get back into the team. He's been ready for any number of weeks. It's just that the team's been doing okay at the moment, so he's found it difficult to break back in. But his training and his attitude to his work is first class at the moment. So I'd have no qualms whatsoever in involving him.
It's quite refreshing, isn't it, from a manager's point of view, when you hear a player talk about himself like that, especially when he's got such a big price tag. Not sitting there sulking that he's not in the side, saying, "Listen, I've got to do better," and you've been seeing that.
Yeah. I think he's been honest enough. In fairness, we had an honest conversation when he went out with the team, and I made it clear that there were certain aspects of his game he needed to improve if he wants to continue to progress in a really difficult league. So you have to understand, he hasn't been here that long, and he had a good initial impact for us last year, but this year he hasn't quite hit those levels. So he's working hard. He's still a young man, in fairness. He's only 23, 24, so still another big step for him. So we're going to be patient. He's going to be here for a long time. So it's up to us to make sure we support him and get him back in the team.
Not Muniz is frustrated. There's lack of opportunity. Has he got a future here?
Yeah, we feel so. We've got a lot of time for Mark. He's a very good player, and good players want to play week in, week out. And it's been difficult for Mark because his role here has been diminished somewhat, because he's struggled with injuries at key times when he's got in the team. He's played really, really, really well, and then just gone out of the team through injury and hasn't been able to get back on. And that's happened on a number of occasions, and that's a disappointment for Mark. But everybody at the club got great respect for his ability and his personality as a guy. So those are the players that you want want to do well and give them opportunities. It hasn't happened so much this year, but we'll have to wait and see. Things change very, very quickly in football, and the key, as I've said for a number of weeks, is that everybody's training well, everybody's ready. If called upon, they know they can come in and have an impact and hopefully stay in the team. So that's their motivation, and that's what the likes of Mark are using to keep themselves going.
You lose Joe Allen, obviously, who you said has been key for you, but how exciting is it from a manager's perspective when you've got Arnautovic, Boyan and Shaqiri all potentially in the starting 11? I mean, that's a heck of an attacking.
Yeah, we've got good attacking threats. We've got good ability at the top end as well, and Ramadan Shelby has come in to really good effect, and we're really pleased with what he's producing. So we've got good options. We feel at times, maybe given the talent that we have at those top end, we need to create more chances and probably convert them as well. Our conversion isn't as high as we'd want it to be, given the talent that we have at the top end. Case in point, last week we made any number of chances. We just needed to take one that would clearly have changed the outcome of the game in our view, but it wasn't to be. But no, I think most teams in the Premier League have game changers, of the types of players that can change games to your benefit, and we probably got as many as most, I would think.
What do you make about Watford? Massive win for them against Leicester at the weekend.
Yeah, good response. They had a difficult time against Liverpool, and they've had a good season. They've got a good points return at this stage of the season, and had some big moments, beating Man United as well. That was a real feather in the cap. So yeah, they'll be, I would imagine, they would be very, very pleased with the opening 10, 11 games or so. So it's not going to be easy. They set up quite strongly in terms of their numbers at the back, and they play 3, but that can very quickly turn to a 5. So you know that it's going to be difficult to break them down. And they've got good power and good pace at the top end as well. So it's not an easy fixture. Never is in the Premier League, but it's one that we face, and one we'll try and get through and get a positive result. I think it's important that we bounce back. We've been on a good run. Came to an end last week at Bournemouth, so it'd be great to start another run going against Watford at the weekend.
Thank you.
Well, do you see, obviously Watford have got a different manager this season. Do you see them as a different prospect as last season, or are they much of the same?
No, I think they were difficult opponents last year, and this year I suppose one of the main differences, they had the benefit of another year in the Premier League, which will obviously help them. New managers have new ideas, and they look quite solid at the moment, and they still retain the threat at the top end of the pitch, which they had last year as well. So not an easy fixture, but one we'll look to do well in. We had a great result there last year, played really well and won comfortably on the day. But different times, different teams, different players, different managers. We'll have to wait and see.
Is it too early for you guys to be looking at the table? Because it's quite tight in and around where you guys are at the moment. There's a few teams on 14, you're on 13, a couple on 11. Is it just too early to be looking at the table yet?
Well, it seems like it's never too early to look at the tables from you guys' point of view. But no, I think what it shows is that there's a real strength in the Premier League. Basically, a lot of teams can take points off each other. That's from top to bottom, so that doesn't really change. And I think after 10, 11 games, the league maybe shows who may struggle or who might have decent seasons, but it's about maintaining it for the 38 games. And we always take the long-term view. Maybe other people in and around football take a shorter-term view, and that can influence people. But our view is that we do what we do, and as the season progresses, people misinterpret what I say sometimes when I say we get stronger as the season progresses, is meaning that we're not very strong at the beginning because we haven't prepared properly. That's totally wrong. We prepare to be ready to go right at the beginning of the season. What I say on that is that maybe that work that you do in pre-season isn't maintained. We always maintain it right through the season, and we build and make sure that we get stronger as maybe other people who do their work in a different way, maybe they tail off, and you can't afford to do that in Premier League. So I just thought I'd clarify that.
Mark, there was a story this morning that there might be a clause in Wilfred Bonney's contract that he can be bought outright by a Chinese club in January. Is that anything you were aware of?
I think that may well be true, but a lot of things have to come to the fore to make that happen. Not least that Wilf needs to want to go himself, and I don't think he will want to. I think he sees himself very much as a Premier League player this year and years to follow. So any thoughts of moving to other shores would be dependent on whether or not he had a desire to do that. Clearly, if his club thought it was a good deal, we would try and influence that, but I don't anticipate that happening, certainly not in January.
There's obviously there's the money in China, but it almost seems like he has to prove himself again after what happened at Man City.
Yeah, there seems to be significant amounts of money being bandied about, but I would suggest Wilf's not too short of a few quid, to be perfectly honest. So I think in terms of Wilf, I think he's more focused on continuing his career in the Premier League with us. So unless he comes and knocks on my door and says he's had an offer, no, I'd be very surprised.
Is there anything, if that happens, whether you could buy him outright or anything? Is that a possibility?
We're not thinking on those terms at the moment. We're delighted that he's here till the end of the season, in our view, and then we look at it again. But no, it's not something that's in the contract. We haven't got a price that's been agreed. Sometimes you can do that, but that's clearly not what Man City wanted.
Just on injuries, how far away is Jack Butland now?
Jack's progressing really well. He's training with good intensity, near enough doing everything that he was before the injury. I think certainly next week I would imagine that he would join in with the main group, and from that point onwards we'll just try and build him up in terms of working with senior players, and then he should be ready.
Great, folks. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Mark.
No problem.